going to be making the comfiest pants in history. Pew, 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 pew. These are legit, legit. These are the comfiest pants I have ever owned, I have ever worn. They're comfier than sweatpants, they're comfier than yoga pants, and they are fabulously historically accurate. This is a style of pants that was super popular in the 30s and into the early 40s. They're the very, very, very wide leg trouser pants. They're basically a straight leg, so you have a really wide leg right from the top all the way to the bottom and a waistband. This pattern is from 1940. Very shortly after this, they fell out of style, mainly because they take a lot of fabric to make, and fabric rationing was actually a thing, and clothing rationing, and you weren't allowed by law to make pants with this much fabric in them. So in the later 40s and into the 50s, the pant legs got smaller and smaller so that they could meet the requirements of the clothing that was allowed to be sold during war times and rationing. So that's the thing. This pattern I got from Eva Dress. It is an actual vintage pattern, which means the instructions are limited. In pretty much all vintage patterns, they make a lot of assumptions about your skill level, which may be fine, but along the way there was some improvising that took place. Let's just say that. Vintage patterns, guys. I know other costumers have mentioned this too, that sometimes you get to a pattern and it will just say, finish in the usual way. You're like, what the f is that? All that aside, they turned out really well. I've been wearing them all the time and love them. They are super comfy, especially for COVID times. If you want to look super stylish, but basically go out in jammy pants, these are the ones for you. If you want to make a pair of these for yourself, I will link the pattern in the description below. I got it online. And anyway, let's get sewing. This is the fabric that I bought for the pants. It's a wool suiting blend. So it's wool and I think viscose, maybe polyester, something like that, something synthetic. But the idea is it shouldn't wrinkle, or it shouldn't wrinkle a lot, because I'm allergic to ironing. And if I have to iron these pants, I'm never gonna wear them. But it's really nice, it's really pretty, and it's soft. Because it's a suiting wool, it doesn't have any of those little fibers in it, and it's really smooth and soft, but it also has a nice heft. And because this is a wide pleated pant, I want it to have a little heft so that it doesn't just fly around. I want it to have a bit of weight. So now we gotta print off the pattern, tape it together, and then pin it on. Let's get cutting. This is the pants cut out. We have a front, which I marked because they look identical, and we have a back, and then we have, where are we, darts on both of them. So 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and it is a side closure. So all of the pattern markings have been transferred. So hopefully I know what to do with it. But the instructions are, oh my God, there are some old school instructions that do not make a lot of sense. It's like 3 instructions for the entire set of pants. And, okay. It's very unclear as to what you're supposed to do. I'm gonna start with just the darts because that seems like the safest thing. And then it says join center seam in trousers front and in trousers back. So I'm gonna do that. If this is the crotch, then it's just from here down. And this one appears to be a side closure. So I'm only gonna be able to add 1 pocket onto these guys unless I do front pockets. But I think I'm gonna do a side pocket. So I'm going to sew the darts front and back. And then I'm going to join front to front down the center, and then back to back down the center. So I'm officially an idiot, just in case that was in any way unclear. The darts are sewn in both sides, and I obviously have to sew front to front at the crotch and not down the center, otherwise I won't have legs. Obviously. Okay, so center front and center front are going to go together at the crotch, obviously, because this is a side closure, so the side closure will happen later. And then center back to center back along the crotch, not along the leg, otherwise we end up with a skirt. Change of plans. This stuff is already starting to fray a little bit, and I see this is, anticipate this being a problem, so I may regret this later. I think I'm going to French seam this. So we're going to do French seams front to front and back to back and on the sides, and see if that makes a difference and we stop the fraying. Cool. So French seams, change number 3. Yep, French seams are happening because look at how pretty that is. And look at how frayed the rest of it is. So, yep, I've decided French seams are going to be a thing. And also the double seams will help it stay better because it's pants and could use a little bit extra reinforcement. Also, can we just appreciate for a moment how nice this fabric is? This kind of wool suiting and how nicely it drapes. I'm very excited. Okay, so same thing on the back. This is the front because I marked it to say front. Because I knew I would forget, because they look the same. I think someone wants to be part of the sewing. Yes? Hi. Am I doing too much sewing for you? Yeah? Do you need some attention? Do you need some attention? Aw, you have kisses? You're a good girl. Oh, big yawns. And big shakes. Okay, you gotta go off though. Off the table. Gotta go off the table or you gotta learn how to do pinning and French seams. Alright, next step is side seams. So I've decided the French seams turned out really pretty. I'm really happy with them, so I'm going to do them everywhere. And we start off with the side seams. This is the left hand side, and this is where the closure is, so I put a little X to make sure I don't go past this point. And so I'm going to have to do the closure in here. So I'm going to stop the stitching here. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, but go all the way up to the top, and then French seam both sides, and then we're going to do the finishing on the closure side in a bit because it's weird. Okay, so this pattern doesn't call for it, but you know I'm adding a pocket. I can only do it on the right side because the closure is on the left hand side, and I may do some of the little cute front pockets, or I may do like butt pockets. I haven't decided, but I'm definitely adding a side pocket where I can because bitches need pockets. It's a thing. So a note on French seams with pockets. I had to attach, I cut out the pocket, I attached it to the pants, right side to right side, and then flipped it inside out, and then I'm going to sew all along here, wrong side to wrong side, and flip it inside out, and then sew along right side to right side too, in case that seam allowance. So that took me some time to figure out the geometry on that. That's what we're going to do next. So side seam, but only pocket on one side because closure on the left. Outside seams are now done, and look at how huge and flowy these pants are. I can't even. And the French seams turned out really pretty. I'm really happy with them. So these are all the seams. Everything's nicely encased and no more fraying, and that makes me happy because if you look at the hems, we're already getting a fair bit of fraying, and I want to avoid that. So next up is going to be sewing the crotch together. So up the leg, through the crotch, and then down the other side. I'm going to do French seams on this as well. And then I think we'll move to waistband, but I'm already loving these. I like the darts. Okay, this is why French seams was an amazing decision, because this is the inside of the pants. Oh, look at how clean that is. And even the crotch seams and everything, there is no fraying. And yet if you look at the cuffs, of the pants, they're a disaster because this fabric is gonna fray. So yeah, French seams were a very good decision. So bias tape is done. Well, not bias tape, but binding tape. Let's call it binding tape. I've pinned it. You can see here, this is the side flap, or the side opening, I guess. And I've pinned it to the outside. And then I'm going to sew it on at the 1/4 inch, or probably at the 1/2 inch actually here. And then I'm going to turn it over, and then I'm going to hand sew this edge to the inside, so it stays shut. The instructions do not explicitly say to do this, but the instructions are weirdly unclear. But the picture looks like this. So I'm going to do this and then see how we deal with the closure. Also, these are so comfy so far. Oh, so soft. And this is the finished side closure part. Yeah. So stitched on the outside, hand stitched on the inside. And next up is the belt, and for this one, I have all these pattern markings here, but it's just folded in half and then sewn along to, pinned and then sewn along to the waistline. Again, I'm going to do French seams because it's fraying so badly already, and it desperately needs the French seams. So I'm going to sew it in half. Edges start at the edge here where the opening is. You leave a little bit extra and then it gets folded under, and then so it's going to get folded in half and then sewn to the pants. See, in the pattern they call it a belt, but it's basically just a waistband. So it occurred to me that I should probably do a fitting before I get the waistband on, and that's it. That's how much I need to take in. So this is the center front seam, so I'm just going to take it in that much, and it fits everywhere else, and it even fits in the length, and your girl is a tall bitch. So it's like, I'm 5'11" with a 34-inch inseam, and there's like 3 to 4 inches of extra length on this. I'm putting a cuff on it, but I'm super impressed with how long they are and how nice the fit is. It is mwah. So the next step in these pants is the hem. And for this one, you turn up like, what is that, like 4 inches? Something like that, a lot, on the inside, and then it is slip stitch, it's hand stitch in place. I don't remember exactly what stitch. And then I also turned it under just a bit so it would capture all of that fraying. So then it's turned up again, and then this is slip stitched to the inside so that it's not visible, and you get this nice cuff on the bottom. And so I'm going to sew this into place, and then I'm going to turn it all up, and then I am going to sew this into place. And even with this, what, like 6 inch for taking it up, it still fits nicely on someone as tall as me. So I am super happy with that. I think it's just closures after that, so yay. Okay, the finishing touches on the pants are done. It said to just tack it to the edges, but when I do that, I always end up pulling them and they end up coming inside out and dragging on the floor. So I just slip stitched the whole thing. Can you see it? Hopefully you can't see it, because that means I did a good job. So I slip stitched both cuffs, so they're both done. And then the final step is doing a closure, and I opted for, oh god, I need to trim some threads. Okay. I opted for a button closure. So this is the front left and the back left, and I put the button on here just so that I don't have the flap coming towards the front. I have it going towards the back, and then a sideways buttonhole so that it's pulling on the strongest part here rather than on the sides coming off. And then a cute little sparkle button, because everyone deserves some sparkle in their lives. So they are done. You need a pair of these in your life. Like, legit, they're the comfiest pants ever. They're like pajama pants, but they look like super dress pants. Highly recommend. These are wonderful. Well, that's it for the pants. As you can see, they are right, tongue and wrong, like comfiest pants in history. It helps that women didn't really wear pants a lot for like thousands of years. I've been wearing these everywhere. I've been wearing them to, well, I'm not really going anywhere. Where am I going? It's COVID. I'm not going anywhere. I've worn them to Starbucks and physiotherapy. That's about all the places I've been allowed to go. Quarantine. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you get the chance to make a pair of these for yourselves because they are the best. I'm probably going to make myself a dozen more pairs in every conceivable color because they are my new favorite and they are wonderful. If you're new here, please like and subscribe. I upload usually every week. I'd love to hear from you if you're working on something, what you thought of the project, any questions or comments you might have. If you have any ideas for projects you'd like to see me make, please comment down below. Otherwise, I will hopefully see you next week. I have a couple very fun projects coming up, including the Home for the Holidays project, where I am making a dress from It's a Wonderful Life, and I'm going to be making a dress from The Queen's Gambit, because if you have not seen that series, what do you do? Go watch The Queen's Gambit. It's the best. Until then, stay happy and healthy, stay safe, and see you next time. Bye! I'm probably gonna make a dozen more. I don't know what's wrong with my throat. Maybe I got the COVID. Oh, they are so, focus. And time for the outro. No, what was I gonna say? I had a better idea. No.